Good morning, everybody. So, a train just is going through right now, so it might be quiet for a little bit. I can actually do a video without that annoying background noise. I know it hasn't been all that long since I did a video, but, well, the trash guys woke me up this morning. So, I was up a bit earlier than I wanted to be. So I figured to kill about 30 minutes, I'll hit the public trail and get a little bit of exercise. You might think I'm a little overdressed. Well, I can agree with you a tad. It dropped like 20 degrees, so that's something. It's not all that bad. Like, I'm starting to sweat right now, so I might be losing the shirt soon, but it's good to get ready wearing all this extra clothing. When you hike for 3 months wearing a muscle shirt and shorts, and you switch over to jeans and a shirt and boots and a hat, be surprised how much that really adds up. I mean, my outfit's probably just graduated by like 5 freaking pounds. Not that big of a deal. I mean, if I was carrying my backpack, my tools and junk, then there might be a bit of a difference, but doing a walk like this, it's hardly noticeable. Just something to say out loud. So, do you ever feel like you're in a coma? Like you're kind of dreaming, and you're like one of those people that were in a coma for a long time, and they basically have you on life support, and you're basically in your private home being taken care of, and everyone around you is thinking, when's this guy gonna die so we can cash in? Or when is this guy gonna wake up so that we can move on with our lives? Like everything's like you're sitting there screaming like, just stop, just knock it off, you wouldn't be doing this if you had any other choice, right? But you're there and you're thinking like, when will it end? Being a metaphorical prisoner in your own body. And everyone around you just wants it to be done and over with. But no one can quite pull the plug. Something to think about. Just something to think about. I was thinking the other day with like the way I interact with people in everyday life and the way things happen around me, that it's so weird. It's just off enough to be like, I'm just living like, well, I don't want to call it a dream. Dreams are associated with good things. I don't really want to call it a nightmare, because it's not that bad, I guess, to really be a nightmare. Just like, just like having like a vision of your life in real time. Not really being able to change or influence it. Just kind of watching as, time moves on. I thought that would be a fairly good way of describing part of the issue that kind of plagues my thoughts and my mind. It's kind of like watching a bunch of actors, or watching like dropping somebody into a town, and the person that's getting dropped into the town thinks they know people, thinks they're having logical conversations with people, and the people, they seem to know everything that's going on, and they don't quite hide it. Like there's always like that undertone of being a butt of a joke that you just haven't, hence my video names. It's like an undertone of being a butt of a joke that you haven't quite heard the punchline of yet, that you don't quite fully grasp. Everyone around you knows there's some sort of prank. Here comes that train I was just complaining about. Everyone knows there's some sort of prank or some sort of joke, or something's not quite right. And you can sense it. You can feel it. Like, you know that there is something not quite right. And you know that people around you have at least an idea. But no one's letting you in on no one's letting you in on it. So that's like a really good way of me describing part of this metaphorical mental illness, maybe social experiment, psychosis, whatever fancy name you'd want to give it. It would be almost funny if it wasn't draining my life away. If I wasn't metaphorically spinning my wheels. If I could work around it or work through it, it would almost be funny. But it's actually a lot more tragic. Just something to think about. I'm somebody eating a bag of pierogies in the woods. You know what? Maybe there is a bear coming down from the hill and going into town. Because, I'm sorry, but a can of whipped cream and a bag of pierogies just seems off. I just... The whipped cream, I can come up with a couple of reasons. But who would boil pierogies or fry pierogies out in the middle of the bloody woods? Like, it'd be different if you were doing a YouTube video, or you're going out somewhere way out in the middle of nowhere and have like a giant pierogi fetish, and you're going on like a day hike and you just can't live without those pierogies, maybe. But I can't think of very many reasons for a bag of pierogies unless a bear just snagged up a whole bag of trash and walked off into the woods with it. Which, again, I'm not versed in bear psychology. I'm not versed in how bears do things, but I always kind of thought they kind of ate on the spot. Like I don't really think, I don't know a lot about them, but I don't really think they pick up a bag and carry it off. Like, you think they would just get their fill and leave. But I don't know, maybe we'll run into it. Don't get me wrong, once again, I don't really want to run into a bear. Like, I am not equipped in any sense of the word to deal with a bear. But it would be cool. It would be the first time and catch it on camera. You guys could you could add it to the National Geographic's the next, bear mauling. No, in all seriousness, around my parts, it would be a black bear. And yeah, it would outclass me in physical prowess by a long shot, but it would more than likely run away. So, not too concerned. But at the same time, if I were to run into a bear and it decided to attack, I wouldn't have too many options. So for the sake of adventure, curiosity, and the adrenaline rush, it'd be really cool to see one. But for the sake of my vision of a fair fight, I would rather not run into a bear, because that's definitely not a fair fight. And they can run they're like what, 300-400 pounds, run I think they're more than that. I think they can reach up to 600 pounds, and they can run 40 mile an hour. Yeah, I'm a bit outclassed, so it wouldn't be. And even with this being a public trail, there's still not a lot of escape options. So I would basically be relying on a black bear's nature to just want to run away, rather than face off an opponent it doesn't particularly want to tangle with. Because bears aren't really predatory. They're a little bit more of opportunistic and omnivores, which means they'll eat meat, they'll eat plants, they'll eat pretty much anything, but typically they'd rather scavenge than beat down their prey. So, Anyways, not just something to think about. This whole video is something to think about. Finding a bag of pierogies in the woods can spark all kinds of ideas. I mean, that's not your traditional campfire food. Let me switch hands, because we're going the opposite way. I don't want too much of the train noise in the video. I just rewatched the last video I posted of me walking this trail, and it looked like the words didn't sync up with the video, like the audio and the video desynced. I might re-render it. I probably won't. More than likely, I won't, because most of the Walk and Talk videos are a little more podcasty than visually pleasing. So I more than likely will not re-render it, especially because I think I deleted it. But just something I wanted to address. We reached 30 subscribers, and I was gonna do like a bit of a shout out thing a couple of videos ago, but then somebody unsubscribed, so it's less impressive. 29, you can't celebrate 29. Like 30 is a nice round number. So that was a bit sad, but like I said, I never expected to get much of anybody to watch my stuff. It's more of an excuse to hone some skills and a sense of therapy would be a way that the way I describe my channel. Do I want people to watch? Yeah, I mean, if you're in a situation like I'm in, maybe you can learn a trick or two to make your life a little bit easier. If you're a cook or a DIY kind of guy or gal, maybe you can learn something. But now what are you? What would you say that is, huh? Metal L. Thought it might have been some sort of jewelry, and I think it's maybe a mechanical latch that got broken off something bigger. Yeah, it's like I said, you know, I don't really talk to any of my family, and like same with like my nephews and nieces. I mean, I see them, but not all that often. So I don't have that sense of legacy. You know, people as a species, anything as a species, you know, needs some sort of energy and has the drive to reproduce. That's just nature. Like, you live to make more people. Like, everything lives to make more of itself. And one of the things that I always wanted, not particularly wanted kids. Like, that's never been it's never been a pressing thought. Once in a while, you know, I took it into consideration, but it's never been one of those things that, you know, I was like, I want kids, because I hate this world. I hate the way people manipulate, lie, steal, and cheat to better themselves at the expense of anybody that gets in their way. And I wouldn't want to put a kid through what I've been through. And once again, I don't want to act like my life was complete torture. There's people out there that had worse lives than me. But it was bad enough that I wouldn't want to put a kid through it. So, yeah. But having a way to pass down your knowledge. You live your entire life to pass down your genes, the essence of who you are, so you have a legacy after you're gone. And to pass down that knowledge is like a really kind of an important thing to me. Like, my father and my grandfather, for instance, I wouldn't call them dumb. They were intelligent in their own ways. But they weren't exactly brilliant. So, like, I'm not saying that I never learned anything from them. I learned a ton of stuff from my grandfather. I learned a few things from my dad. I even learned a few things from my mother. But I might never get the opportunity to truly pass that knowledge on. And the thing is, it might not be much. You might be able to just Google it, you know? Try to eat me. You might just be able to Google a lot of the stuff I know. But learning a skill is always easier, in my opinion, in more of a hands-on setting. Like trades and skills, and even some things are easier if you go and you have a problem with your computer and you have to call tech support. Is it easy for you to understand what they tell you? Or is it easier when they do something like screen sharing and literally walk you through it and help you and show you? That's kind of way I look at things. I always learn better through actually doing something rather than having somebody tell me, like history. Having somebody sit there and lecture me for hours on end. It doesn't sink in the same way as like math, when somebody literally shows you the patterns to look for and how to build or how to solve the problem the right way, kind of in person. Like, when I was learning, I always had trouble with word problems. I'm pretty brilliant when it comes to, was pretty brilliant when it comes to math. I say was because I haven't used it in so long, I'm sure I'm a bit rusty. Like, simple addition and multiplication and stuff I can rip off pretty good, but there's just some things that I don't, I don't retain the knowledge without practice. And there's only so many times in my life that I have to figure out the circumference of a circle. Just not something I do. Why would I? Even when I'm doing construction projects, it's more of the trade knowledge of carpentry that comes through than actually the math. Like, I'm not saying like I don't measure things and do math, but like a lot of times I can eyeball something better than, maybe not better, but quicker and more efficiently than measuring. Like the picnic table I built, I don't think I measured anything. Like, I think I used the size of my femur, my leg bone, to measure how tall I wanted to make it. Because, I'm always alone. So I'm always alone. So it doesn't matter if it's to anybody else's height. So, but yeah, I use my leg bone to kind of measure where the seat should go, and everything else I just cut to equal proportions. I mean, granted, a picnic table isn't really difficult as long as you have a general knowledge of carpentry. But I'm rambling. I'm rambling about nothingness. I'm gonna go. I don't really know what else to say. Told you I'd forget something. So, I walked back to the lookout, so I had a little more time to talk. So, I went to where I hike up that trail. I know I always talk about this apple tree this one guy has. Well, I stopped by his house, and I asked him if I could have a bunch of the apples from the tree. And he said, yeah. So I got about 15 of the apples, and I made homemade apple cider yesterday. That was kind of cool. I never did it before, so I didn't use like the traditional cloves and stuff. I didn't have cloves. I didn't have one of the other ones, nutmeg, but I had cinnamon and ginger I put in it, and it turned out really good. So that was kind of cool. I used all of them. I used all the apples but 3. Even after cutting the bad spots off, I still had some left over. I'm pretty happy with it. They're extremely good apples. Like, if they took better care of the tree, like, he could sell them like no joke. They're one of my favorites. So that was kind of cool. I want to give a shout out to that guy because, you know, he could have said no. So, you know, yeah. So, of course, I didn't do a cooking video because I don't have the house to myself anymore. But I would rate it a good high 7, low 8. It was initially, I only had like a normal, I had like a colander and then like a normal strainer. So I didn't, it was still a little bit chunky. So by chunky I mean like when you get to the bottom of the glass, you get a mouthful of applesauce instead of, you know, apple cider. So, but I mean, with what I had to work with my first time doing it, it's really good. Like, good old grandma said it was better than store-bought. I don't know about that. I don't know if she was just saying it because, I don't know, to be nice, maybe. I don't know. But she said it was less sour than store-bought apple cider, so. And which I don't think she's right about that either. I think it has a little bit more of a kick to it, but that's just me. One mistake I made was I don't think I used enough water because after I bottled 2 bottles of it, I took what was left and I was drinking it, and I added like half a bottle of water to it, and it was like 10 times better. So I think it needed a little more water. I took an old wine bottle, and finished off the wine in it, and washed it out. I filled it full of apple cider, and I put about 6 shots of triple sec in it for hopefully I'm gonna drink it for Halloween, but I don't know if it'll last that long if I get in one of my moods. So that was I've been getting a bit of cash lately. Been running errands, and she's been winning a good bit on the lottery, so she's been actually giving me money, which is kind of nice because I don't really have a lot. So it gives me a little bit a little bit of fun money to go out and do stuff. So I went and, I bought a couple bottles of liquor. I got the super cheap stuff. I got triple sec for the apple cider. It was like $7, which was really nice because it was like a gallon jug for $7 or $8. And I got a bottle of vanilla rum for when I make eggnog this year, which I've done that before, and it turned out real good. But last time I made it with cherry rum. They didn't have any cherry rum, so I went with vanilla rum. The other option was coconut rum, but I decided vanilla would probably be a little bit better because you already put vanilla in eggnog, or you can put vanilla in eggnog. So I figured it would just intensify the vanilla flavor. So that'll be kind of nice. I don't particularly like eggnog, but the way I made it, it was really good. I don't like particularly thick drinks like chocolate milk. I always do like half chocolate, half white to thin it out a bit. And with eggnog, I barely ever drink it because it's like syrup. I just don't like the texture. I don't like the texture of that. That's why I don't drink I don't drink soda for a lot of reasons. But like Mountain Dew, it always has that like thick, filmy kind of residue. I just don't like it. So, but that was really kind of cool because for how I did it was I used my grandmother threw away a deep fryer, and there was nothing wrong with it. Again, there's nothing wrong with it, so I kept it for some sort of projects. Like I used it to melt HDPE to make the handle for the machete. So I used that on the lowest heat I could muster, the lowest heat I could set it to cook down the apples for like 3 or 4 hours to get all the appley goodness out of them. And then I strained it like 6 times. I was gonna run it through my coffee filter, but it would have took a day. It would have took like 8 hours to strain all that through. So it's one of those times where I wished I had like a vacuum filter, like a vacuum pump. Like if I had like the Science vacuum pump thing, I could have strained all that off in maybe an hour, and it would have been like super clean. But you know, got to work with what you got, and having a little bit of roughage at the end isn't bad for you. So it's all right. Oh yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I might go back and I might clean out the rest of the tomato plants. I'm not sure. It's still a bit early. Like, I don't have to. I could wait another probably month before there's an actual frost. But it's been dipping pretty cold the last couple of times, and yeah, they're not going to grow anymore. Like, the tomatoes might get bigger. They might ripen. But I don't really want ripe tomatoes. I'd rather have green tomatoes. So I might just call the tomato plants. I think I'm going to let the peppers till they're done, because I didn't get a lot out of them. So I want to try to get as much as I can at this point, because like I got about 8 fist-sized peppers, and they were the green bell peppers, so they should have been like bigger. But I got about 8 fist-sized ones, which was nice. It made the stuffed pepper soup, and it made the macaroni salad. But you know, I was hoping to get, like, usually when I do peppers, I do the banana peppers, and I usually get like 50 of them or 100 of them. The green peppers, I don't know if it's the weather or what, but it did not work out so great. Alright, now I really am going to go, because I am at the end of the trail. And I will hopefully talk to you guys again sometime, and see you later.